Hello, friends. The presentations, in fact, have become much more common in today's world. You talk of education sector, you talk of science, you talk of business, you talk of administration. Everywhere, this is need of the hour. It is mainly due to the advent of information technology. But it is very important for a presenter to make an effective presentation as it can make or mar his objective of impressing the audience. And audience could be your boss, audience could be the persons who are there to take your interview, or anybody else who is at the helm of the affairs. I have seen that many people just read the presentation. The reason being they have not prepared their presentation well. That's why they simply start reading it, which is not at all effective. And at the same time, the slides which you have prepared for the presentation, those slides are meant to reinforce what you speak, not to duplicate your words. And generally, what happens that whatever is written on the slides, people start reading that. So today, I will give you certain tips for preparing an effective presentation, and maybe in my next lecture, I may give you some tips how to deliver the lecture. In fact, every presentation has two parts. First is to prepare a presentation, and secondly, to deliver a presentation. Now, the most important thing is title of your talk. A good title should identify the subject matter and field of the study. It is not that you have to say something else, but your title says a different story. At the same time, your title should indicate the purpose, the objective of the investigation or objective of the lecture. Whatever you are, if you are to deliver a seminar, if you are to deliver a presentation for the interview, that purpose should be clearly indicated in the slide. Slide should be catchy enough so as to attract the attention of the audience. And secondly, do not use in the title some awkward words like many times we start our title with some observations on some characteristics or progress report of this. That looks to be very a lazy type of unattractive type of title. And at the same time, there should not be lengthy chemical nomenclature also, because your audience, all the people in the audience, they may not be familiar with the nomenclature, chemical nomenclature, or unfamiliar abbreviations. So it is always better to avoid such abbreviations or lengthy chemical nomenclature in your title. Now here is an example. This was a title of a particular thesis. You can read the title: Snails and Slugs, Biodiversity and Damage Inflicted in Plant Nurseries and Adjoining Crop Fields at Badshahpur, Jalandhar. Now, what you can see out of this? If I have to write this title, I'll simply write Snail and Slug Biodiversity and Damage in Plant Nurseries and Crop Fields. Why to write fields at Badshahpur, then Jalandhar? So one thing is simply catchy and small title. Now your title spread in 4-5 lines and inflict damage inflicted in plant nurseries, adjoining crop fields. Simply why use in damage inflicted? Why to use the word adjoining? You can avoid such words. So this is how you can simplify a title. Then here are some more examples. Now left hand side, say factors affecting irrigation water saving on raised beds. Good title, no problem in it. But can you make it more catchy? If you want to make it more catchy, you can simply write it as, do raised beds really help save irrigation water? And question mark. So this creates a sort of curiosity, among the audience. Do raised beds really help save irrigation water? So what could be the answer? Yes, no, yes, no. So this, by using such type of title, you are creating, sort of a curiosity among the people, among the audience who are going to listen to your talk, and definitely they will be attracted towards your talk, and they will come and listen to it. Similarly, another title: Effect of nitrogen application on grain yield of wheat under irrigated and dry land conditions. Now, this is a bit lengthy title, and as I said, never start your title effect of. You can simply write down nitrogen and irrigation effects on performance of wheat. Now, grain yield of wheat, irrigated and dry land conditions. So, we are comparing irrigated versus dry land. So, better irrigation effects. Nitrogen and irrigation effects on performance of wheat. So, this is quite clear. Small, simple title. Then some observations on behavior of gullies in sub-mountain Punjab. As I said, never use these words. Some observations on. Why some observations? Simply behavior of gullies in sub-mountain Punjab. That is sufficient. Small, catchy, and attractive titles. Now here is entitled. This is again very interesting thing. This is a title of a particular thesis, and my friend Dr. S.S. Hundal, former head of the Department of Zoology, he sent me this title: Effect of cytoplasmic volume of domestic buffalo oocytes on developmental competence, epigenetic. Now, is it a title or a complete paragraph? Nobody is going to read this title in one go. So people lose interest when they start writing, reading this title. So, can you modify this title? Let me give you this assignment. You can modify it and make it simple, catchy, attractive title. Now, after title, the next step is how to prepare abstract and summary of the seminar, because many a times you're asked that, okay, you prepare a one page or half page summary of your seminar or your talk. So if that is the requirement, then that should also be quite catchy, because people, when they read that summary, then they decide whether or not to attend this talk. So a better abstract, it should state the purpose of investigation, that why you are going to investigate, why you are going for this study, why you are going for a particular type of talk, whatever you are presenting, why you are presenting. Then scope of your work. Suppose you are going to give a business model. So what is scope of that work? Then it should also summarize the content of the talk. Whatever you are going to speak, say in 40 or 50 slides, that should summarize, but not everything. The main important points should be summarized in one paragraph. Then points to new research, new methodologies, or new business models, theories, etc. Those should be there. And it should include brief interpretation of the results. If it's a scientific study, you got some results, then some interpretation that, okay, these results might be helpful because of this, that. And it will be good if this abstract is limited to 250 words. Then a better abstract should avoid general statements, because many a time you have only 250 words, 300 words. So if you start with general statements, so you will be consuming more of the words in general statement, because people already know the general statements. So there should not be any lengthy discussion and conclusion in your title. This abstract should be readable, at least 12 font size, because many people they would love to read the title maybe without their specs or even with specs. So 12 font size is ideal one. And 6 to 8 important and most recent references could be cited. This is optional. It's not important, because it depends. If it's a scientific study, then yes, you must give most important references. And of course, the references which you are going to list, those should be of uniform style, because many a times I have seen PG student, postgraduate students, they write one reference in one style, another is another style, so that gives a bad impression. Now the slides, coming to slides. You see, as I said in the beginning, the slides are there to clarify what you have spoken or amplify what you have spoken. Slides should not duplicate your words, because if everything is written on the slide, you are simply reading it. So, two things are there: you are reading, and audience is looking or seeing those slides or those words. So, that is duplicity of the words. So, whatever sentence you are going to say, the idea of the slide is simply to give you simply to amplify that okay, the person is looking at the slides, he is listening to you also, so the things should get clear to him. If you are simply reading whatever is written on the slides, so he may not be able to concentrate on your what you are speaking and what the slide says. So, good slide always improves the impact of your presentation. It is generally said that when you read a particular document, you just grasp 10%. When you hear, you grasp 20%. When you see, you grasp 30%. Then 70% what when you see and hear. So here that's why you're hearing, you're listening to the speaker, you're seeing the slide, so people they can understand 70% of the contents. That's why it is important that whatever you speak, whatever the slides say, it should be sort of amplification and not the repetition. And of course, there should not be any slide which you then must apologize. Okay, this slide should not have been here like that. So you must ensure that whatever slides you have included in your presentations, those slides they are directly related with the topic, with your topic. Then a good slide is that which generates the attention of the audience and holds that attention. If the slide is not attractive, it's not good, the audience may get bored. And that is generally when you write too much on a simple single slide, the audience they cannot read, so they lose interest in your talk. Then a slide should clarify an idea. It should reinforce or emphasize the data, means to strengthen the data, strengthen your sentences, whatever you are speaking, that should be reinforced or emphasized by the slide. Then a good slide, it should prove a point. It's not that okay, you wrote a particular point and then whatever you concluded that was not proved on the slide itself. And of course, a good slide is that which increases memory retention, and memory retention will be increased only when your slide is quite attractive. Then, as I said, never write whole matter on the slide. This is very, very important, and this is what mainly most of the people do. They write whatever they have to speak, and then they are carefree. Okay, the slides are there. I have simply to read it, because when you simply read, you do not make eye contact with the audience, because you have to read from the slide. So most of the time you look at the board, presentation board. So by that, if you don't make an eye contact with the audience will get bored. Now here is this is what people do. If they have to say effect of puddling on soil, then they write a complete paragraph. Puddling is an important practice which the farmers do for transplantation of rice. The purpose of puddling is to reduce infiltration for the farmers puddling need. Now, generally we say that it should be bulleted points. But bullet doesn't mean that one paragraph should be bulleted. You simply put bullet mark over there and that becomes bulleted. No. So, instead of this writing this effect of puddling on soil, can we write puddling effects? Puddling can have positive as well as negative effect. Puddling generally helps in reducing the infiltration losses. The transplanting of the rice seedlings, they become easily after puddling, and puddling also leads to control of weeds. But at the same time, the negative effects of puddling is that it destroys the structure of the soil. It leads to formation of hard pan, and it has been observed in some studies that wheat yields get reduced to the extent of 5% because of that hard layer, hard pan which is formed. So then you can explain this further also if you want to emphasize on this hard pan, hard layer. It depends on your objective, whether you want to emphasize the positive effect or negative effect. If it is positive effect, then try. Say if it is weed control, then expand weed control. If it is negative, then expand hard pan and its effect. So you just I'll go back. You just compare the previous slide. Effect of purling. This was too much. You were simply reading it, and here the audience will retain in its memory this slide, not the previous one. This slide will not be, never, it will never be retained in the memory. It will never attract your audience. But this slide, yes, 3 positive effects, 3 negative effects. Okay, good. You spoke, you highlighted the things, audience saw these points. Of course, they will be grasping more than 70%. Now, this is another problem. Generally, when we start with first slide, we write the word introduction. Why to write the word introduction? It's not a document you are going to submit. Okay, you will write introduction, methodology, then what will be the impact or what are the results of all that. No, this is not a document. Many a times I have seen very mature people, even IAS people, writing such type. This is introduction. Why to say this is introduction? Then again, slugs and snails belong to phylum Mollusca, class this. The slug has a head, a ventral muscular foot, like so. All these bullet points, these are complete sentences. And in PowerPoint presentation, please remember, no bullet point should be a complete sentence. It should be a phrase. Because if you write complete sentence, you are going to read that. You cannot avoid it. So it should always be a phrase, and phrase means there should not be any full stop at the end of that particular phrase. And in this case, we have 4 bullet points. All these 4 bullet points are sentences, and they have put a full stop. Now, see how we can write it. Slugs and snails. Do you think that we need to write introduction? And above all, when a person presents this, he speaks introduction. Slugs and snails belong to phylum Mollusca. So that looks very odd. So you are concerned with slugs and snails. These belong to phylum Mollusca, class Gastropoda, subclass Pelminata, order this. The body parts of the slugs, they consist of head, ventral muscular foot, shell. Then these slugs are migratory. They have migratory behavior. It depends upon the microclimate of the habitat. We have 14 species of slugs and 9 species of snails so far identified, and their habitat generally is ornamental plants, vegetable, other crop. Very simple. Now people are listening to you. People are also trying to just memorize these points which you have written over here. So again, comparing the first slide and this is how you can see the 2 slides. Even this slide looks better to the eyes also. It looks very comfortable slide, but if you look at this slide, this is not comfortable. This becomes irritating. It irritates the audience, and you are losing your impression because you are simply reading these sentences. You will have to read the sentences. In this case, you can make your own sentences. The slugs and snails, they belong to phylum Mollusca. So here you have only 2 words, rather 1 word I should say. 2 words. Okay, let it be 2 words. But then you have to make the sentence of your own. This is effective presentation. Effective presentation is not that you read whatever is written over there. A good slide, it should present tables, graphs with minimum essential data. Then it is understood without a talk. Even if I don't speak, people should, by reading the slide, they should be able to understand it. And remember, one slide should contain only one primary idea. There should not be too many ideas on one slide. It should be compact, light, and portable. When I say compact, light, and portable, this is the example. This is compact, light, portable, not this one. This is not light, this is not compact, this is irritating, this is crowded. And a good slide should simplify the difficult task, because presentation of course is a difficult task, but if you have good slides with you, that difficult task is simplified, and also it increases the interest. Otherwise you could have spoken without the slides, but slides just they increase the interest of the audience. Now, here is a table, a particular PG student, while giving the presentation, he writes effect of mulch, farmyard manure, nitrogen on crop, straw yield, harvest index, number of tillers. Whatever is there in the title, he wrote it in whatever is there in the table, he wrote it in the title. Then serial number 1, 2, 3. Do you think serial number has any meaning? Then you see in treatment, in all the three rows, mulch 6 ton per hectare, mulch 6 ton per hectare, mulch 6 ton per. Why to repeat this? FYM, FYM. Okay, there is no FYM over here. Then crop yield, straw yield, harvest index. Now harvest index is basically the ratio of crop yield and straw yield. Grain yield we call grain yield and straw yield. Then if you have given these both, why to write harvest index? And if you want to write harvest index, you can skip this straw yield. And number of tillers are not important when you are giving the straw grain yield. So if I have to present this slide, I will write this. See, first of all, title FYM and N effects on mulched wheat performance. So because in all the treatments you have mulch. So it is mulch wheat. So it is not basically a treatment. 6 ton, 6 ton, 6 ton. Is it part of treatment? It would have been part of the treatment if instead of 6, this would have been 4, this would have been 2 or some other figures. So it is simply mulch wheat. So FYM and N effects on mulch wheat performance. Why to write everything crop yield, straw yield, harvest index, number of tillers? And then treatments, yes, here we have farmyard manure 10 ton per hectare plus 50% nitrogen. Here 75% nitrogen. Here 100% nitrogen alone. Yes, now these are the treatments. Crop yield, harvest index. Simple. Very simple thing, because it is not that you have to write too much. You have to give an idea. This treatment gives us best yield, and best yield is because of the harvest index. Then while making the slides, while preparing the slides, shoot them with bullets. But that doesn't mean, I'll again repeat it, when I say shoot them with bullets, doesn't mean you simply put bullet marks over here like I have done over here. So bullet means it should not be, your point should not be a complete sentence, it should be a phrase, and phrase with minimum words, so that you are able to make your own sentence. And deliberately you will make your own sentence when the slide contains only phrase or few words. Then less is more on a slideshow, as I said. You have to speak, because you are going to impress the audience. Your slides are not going to impress the audience. You have to explain to the audience. So always better that slide should have less and you speak more. You reinforce it. And if you have too much of information on the slide, that becomes unreadable, that font size deliberately becomes small, people lose their interest and nobody reads big paragraphs on your slides. So 4 to 5 bulleted points per slide. This is a thumb rule that per slide you should have 4 to 5 bullet points, and let your bullets be visible. So visibility is very important. You have 18 to 24 font size. That is the best one. Then while making the slides, bulleted points should not be too lengthy, as I said. Minimum number, first phrase, and secondly minimum number of words. It's not that your bullet point may go up to 3 lines, 4 lines, then it becomes a paragraph. So short sentences, short phrases I should say, and not more than 6 words in one line or in one bullet. So in one slide there should not be more than 6 lines. For example, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then contrast text with background. This is very important, because in order to make your slide visibility good or excellent, I should say, then there should be good contrast with the background and the color of your points. And here this is the best combination, that in the background you have light blue, and then the text is in light yellow or dark yellow, whatever it is. And when you have to highlight a point, some important information, then you can increase the font size. So the audience will concentrate on this. His eyes will deliberately go over here. The white is larger, so this means, or it could be differently colored. If it is differently colored, naturally audience will first of all see why it is different. Oh, this is important information. This is what he wants to say. So color contrast is very important. Many a times people use bright colors, and those colors are they are not soothing to the eyes. They are piercing your eyes. So people again get irritated. So whatever color combination you use, it should be very soothing effect. It should have very soothing effect. And secondly, if you are not familiar with the color combination, better you go for white background, and then you can use any color. But again, the colors should be very sober colors. Then the slide should not be too animated. Animations are inbuilt in the PowerPoint presentation, and generally the younger people, they like to say, okay, one slide coming from here, another coming from here, sometimes it is falling from. So that animation in fact is just for small children, just to create interest in them. But when you are going for a serious presentation, if you do too much of animations, then audience will be attracted towards your animations, not to what you are saying. This is very important. So whatever multimedia capabilities are there, those are only for special emphasis, when you have to give a presentation to primary students, or to demonstrate how something works. Otherwise, excessive animation, then your presentation will be labeled as school boyish presentation. So whenever you are going for a serious presentation, maybe for business, maybe for your research presentation, maybe for education purposes, except primary classes, you should avoid the animation. This is very important. Then this is again important, that your slide should be reinforced with photos. Now here this photograph itself shows that I'm talking about puddling, I'm talking about rice transplantation. So simply I have written a phrase over here: to reduce water inputs while maintaining yields at same high level as under continuously flooded conditions. So this is objective, and here I can say, okay, the flooded conditions can. So just looking at the slide, the audience can immediately, without reading your phrase or without reading the text, audience can immediately judge that, okay, he is going to talk about rice fields, puddling, transplanting, something like that. Now here you see just photographs, they are conveying a story. And here it's a newspaper clipping: PAU Australia students to give a demo to water efficiency tools in Punjab villages. Yes, they are demonstrating the use of this technology, tensiometer for irrigation to rice, and students standing near the rice fields. This girl student, she is explaining the use of this. So and Syngenta over here. So all the figures, they show that, okay, Syngenta sponsored a program where PAU Australia students, they came, they went to Punjab villages, and they tried to disseminate the technology of soil metric potential based irrigation in rice. So the figures, the photographs themselves, they say the story. So you have to simply a bigger story, you can shorten it in few words. This is beauty of the slide. Then again, now here you must reinforce your slides with sort of video clipping. Now here, yes, just looking at the clipping, you can see, okay, this seems to be hilly area, so runoff is there. That means rainfall started, and after the start of rainfall, there is runoff. And then the person will simply see, okay, the runoff water falling over the structure has more kinetic energy, causing soil erosion downstream, and slowly this water is getting muddy water. So this shows that soil erosion is. So just looking at this video clipping, it has a great impact. You can emphasize, okay, see, please see that this water is now, it is becoming muddier. It is more silt content is being, coming from the upstream side to the downstream side. And you can also say that, see, the flow of water is so fast that person cannot cross this stream. So this is how, just to increase the interest of the audience. Then always prefer to convey your data in the form of figures. Now this could have been presented in the form of a table, but here deliberately a diagram has been prepared where you can simply compare, okay, these are the treatments, and this particular treatment is having higher irrigation water, and this is in loam soil. So this treatment has minimum irrigation water, where we go for intermittent irrigation for 2 days. So longer duration of daily irrigation 50. So this is very clear. Immediately the audience or the persons attending to this presentation, they can immediately judge, okay, this treatment has higher irrigation water input, this treatment has lower irrigation water. If this would have been in the table form, they might be comparing, okay, 33.9, then 400, then 4, okay, this is higher, no, this is higher. So this gives you a clear picture. So this is how we can reinforce our slides with photographs, with data in the form of diagrams or figures, or and also you can reinforce with video clippings if those are with you. So this is how you make your presentation very effective, and it also becomes easy for you to explain the things. So thank you very much. I hope that these tips might have been useful to you. Thank you.